Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that dominates in today's edition for Monday, 14th July 2025, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Free movement of people put on the front burner by CARICOM. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The hurricane season is now upon us. So we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. The idea of free movement among some CARICOM countries has sparked some debate. Since its announcement at the end of the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting on Tuesday last, there has been concern in some circles about the number of issues, including crime. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade of Barbados, Kerry Simmons, sought to allay those fears. He said that consideration is uppermost on government's list, noting that since the hosting of Cricket World Cup 2007, there has been the capacity of a single domestic space. This allows Barbados authorities to know all passengers arriving in Barbados to be scrubbed against an international list and flagged as necessary. Minister Simmons was speaking during a press conference at Lara Court. The agreement of free movement, which begins on October 1st, is only applicable between Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica and Belize. And Minister Simmons says while Jamaica and Guyana have agreed to the regime in principle, there are some kinks that need to be ironed out before they commit to the new regime.
I want to say that Interpol, U.S. Customs Border Protection Agency, are the entities with whom we work, so that in many cases we are aware of people who have criminal convictions, we are aware of who has been suspected of certain types of activity, even as that person is about to board an aircraft. I don't, again, wish to dwell too much on matters of national security, but I want for the public to take into the confidence of, or I want the public to take us into their confidence that matters of security are top of mind as we go forward in this, and that the movement of people by legal means should not be seen as a threat or an impediment to the progress that we must make. There have been people who have moved in and out of Caribbean countries under cover of darkness and tried to get into the country without crossing borders officially. We know that that has happened, and we know that we have, therefore, to strengthen our coast guards. We know we have to have a regional security service that does the type of surveillance and lends us the type of cooperation, and it is a national security matter, so I will not go into detail about what the RSS does. But let me say that coming out of the heads meeting, there has been a strengthening of the RSS capacity, and Suriname is now on board, bringing with it more personnel and more technical capacity to serve this Southern CARICOM region.
The Trinidad and Tobago government is in the advanced stages of reviewing plans to implement full free movement of people under the CARICOM Single Market and Economy CSME. However, Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Sean Sober says public consultations may be held before any final decision is made. More in this TTT news item.
Minister Sobers said Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessa's position that while Trinidad and Tobago remains fully committed to CARICOM's goals, the government must carefully consider the needs and concerns of its own citizens.
And that is where we are at this point in time. That is actually the same position adopted by other jurisdictions within the Caribbean right now. For example, Jamaica, Guyana, and whatnot. They have not put a pause, but they are also reviewing it and will give a signal to CARICOM as to when they are ready to implement a total free and full movement of persons within CARICOM.
Minister Sobers explained that under the existing CSME system, individuals who wish to move throughout the Caribbean must first obtain a CSME skills certificate, which is issued by the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs.
This particular evolution of the CSME now will see persons moving throughout the Caribbean region without having to obtain that skill certificate.
Antigua and Barbuda government is intensifying efforts to secure relief to former policyholders of CLICO and BICO who have been affected by the collapse of the entities over a decade and a half ago. Cabinet says a delegation is being formed which will be ready to travel to Trinidad and Tobago to engage the Kamla Persad-Bissessa administration on the issue. The aim will be to secure the remaining US $60 million, which Port of Spain had committed to paying out to the former policyholders in Antigua and Barbuda and the rest of the OECS. ABS's Shanakisha Francis reports.
The Cabinet is pushing for renewed talks with the government of Trinidad and Tobago in hopes of finding a way forward on the CLICO-BICO matter, a financial crisis that has left investors across the region in limbo for well over a decade.
The Prime Minister and his Cabinet will be putting forward several proposals not to create any undue burden to the government of Trinidad and Tobago, but to ensure that workable solutions are met.
While a response from Port of Spain is still pending, plans are already underway to form a delegation for a visit.
The team has not been put together as yet, but of course we know that it will involve individuals from the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and possibly the Prime Minister himself.
Prime Minister Honorable Gaston Brown remains optimistic that talks can resume.
The Prime Minister is very optimistic that discussions can resume and will resume with the Bissessa administration, as they would have been the one to have initiated it during her previous term.
The previous Kamla Persad-Bissessa administration had agreed to provide compensation of $100 million for investors in the OECS countries and paid $40 million before leaving office. However, the Dr. Keith Rowley administration did not pay the remaining $60 million. With the return of the Persad-Bissessa administration, Prime Minister Brown is hopeful this renewed engagement will finally result in compensation for investors in this country and the rest of the sub-region. Shanakisha Francis, ABS News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick, in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Now, despite months of public pressure and formal correspondence, there has been no action from President Irfan Ali of Guyana regarding the failure of the Commissioner of Information, retired Justice Charles Ramson Sr., to uphold his constitutional duties. HGP's Travis Chase reports.
There are still no moves by President Irfan Ali to hold the Commissioner of Information, Charles Ramson Sr., accountable for failing to respond to queries and for not submitting reports to Guyana's Parliament. In fact, President Ali was written to by Attorney-at-Law Christopher Ram on the issue since April 14, 2025, and the President has seemingly ignored that letter. In light of this, members of civil society have once again mounted protest action outside of the office of the President. Attorney-at-Law Christopher Ram spoke with reporters from the picket line.
Well, we're hoping that the President will take note of citizens asking for information, their constitutional right, from him, not only as President, but he has portfolio responsibility for the Access to Information Act. We just cannot believe he would ignore citizens in this disdainful and disrespectful manner.
Civil society members maintain that the Access to Information Act vests constitutional responsibility for the Office of the Commission of Information in the President, and that the non-functioning of the Office of the Commission of Information is of grave concern. Columnist Gabriel Lal chastised the President for referring to the request for information as politically motivated.
The President said, well, I don't tell the commissioner how to do his job, something to that effect. There comes a time that the President has to intervene and say, you've gone too far, you are breaking the law, because the Access to Information Act of 2011 says that we are entitled to information for transparency and accountability purposes.
The present Commissioner of Information is retired Justice Charles Ramson, and his office is located at his residence on East Street. Here is Frederick Collins of the Transparency Institute of Guyana.
Census results up to now. This has been the conduct of every single government since I'm born. The only time they release the information is after the elections. But this time, one would have expected an urgency of this government to release the information for the simple reason that they correctly accused the outgoing government the last time in 2020 of attempting to rig the election barefacely. Good. So you must now demonstrate to the nation that you are not the same thing.
The civil society members would also like to see legislative reform to decentralize the access to information process. They believe that ministries should be responsible for handling requests rather than a single commissioner. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
A 2% interest loan from China was the precursor to the contract signing for a $267 million specialty hospital in the Bahamas. Lloyd Allen of ZNS News reports.
A $22 million cut in the future cost of the Nassau Specialty Hospital. This announced today from the Office of the Prime Minister. The final financing framework agreement verified that 73%, or $195 million of the project costs will be funded by the Chinese Export and Import Bank.
Health and Wellness Minister Dr. the Honorable Michael Darville confirming that the new facility will come with a number of features.
The Chinese Export and Import Bank loan will carry a 2% interest rate over a 20-year period, inclusive of a 5-year grace period. My ministry is finalizing the tender process for site preparation, and on completion, a contract would be awarded and land clearing will begin in a matter of weeks.
Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis says the signing symbolizes a step forward in national development.
The Bahamian people deserve a healthcare system that works, one that meets them where they are, and one that lifts the standard of care for everyone. With our Chinese partners, we are creating new opportunities to deliver on that promise. This cooperation will help us build infrastructure that is fit for purpose and designed with the needs of our population in mind.
Chinese ambassador to the Bahamas, Her Excellency Jiarun Yan, says the new facility comes on the heels of national development initiatives.
We are confident that, like the airport highway, airport scanners, national stadium, and other Chinese concessional loan or China grant projects, the hospital project will play an important role in improving people's livelihood and boosting local economic development.
Local talent will also be engaged to complete the massive construction project. Reporting from the Office of the Prime Minister for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Lloyd Allen.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we
Bullion Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.